But let's keep it real. The guy doesn't track back, and he sometimes makes mistakes on defense. But ultimately, I don't think it matters because he is one of the most fantastic passers, especially from deep, that we've seen in any position. He reminds me of De Bruyne. He can make passes from way back, or a little bit like who's that guy that played for Real Madrid? Cruz.
Yeah, Cruz. Yeah.
Guys that can sit back and do it. The only thing is that he's a right back, and once in a while he'll make a mistake and give up a goal. But my question is, like, he didn't start for England. Who started for England at right back? I forgot. Who's the other guy? The white guy.
I'm not quite sure who started for England.
Yeah, I'll remember. But you have to remember, when you have Trent Alexander as a right back, he might give up a goal during the game due to defense. Most likely he won't. But he will definitely contribute a goal a game through assisting or passing. So it's still worth keeping him. It's just that when you have him on your team, I think you need to have a plan so that somebody can cover him. What do you think? Yeah,
I agree with you. Trent Alexander-Arnolds, he's renowned for his precise crosses, his creativity, and ability to dictate play, especially under Jurgen Klopp. They started to wonder, is this guy a fullback, a wingback, a defensive midfielder, or a central midfielder? Because his skill set seemed to suggest that he had attacking qualities superior to his defensive shortcomings. And he's able to cross the ball very well. Even when it comes to set pieces, free kicks and stuff, he is Liverpool's go-to man. And he functions as a key playmaker from deep, often influences Liverpool's attacking flow. But where the problem is now is that he's a defensive liability. He doesn't drop back on time when the team are defending against defensive transitions. And the space behind him, he always finds it difficult to cover it. But as a forward-thinking fullback, as a wing-back, is one of the best, really.
Yeah, and I think that on a team like Liverpool, which is pressing and attacking and things, he's perfect. But if you're going to have him on your team, as I said, you're going to have a scheme where you make some adjustments to cover him or not. Or you just have to take the fact that, I'm not a mathematician, but I would likely say that within a 90-minute period, most games, it's not because he made a mistake that they gave up a goal. But once in a while, you understand what I'm saying? It's not every game.
I understand what you're saying,
but my thing is that, and we know that the right back position, in general, the fullback position in general, is susceptible because it's wide. It's wide.
Yeah, sure.
But I do think that he may need to become a little bit more disciplined and time his runs more selectively. He needs to sit back a little bit more. And then in situations where there's a transition, he can burst for it, but he needs to make sure that he hustles and tracks back. What do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. And he's lucky to have a coach like Arne Slot. Arne Slot's tactical template is different from Klopp. Klopp used to play Trent Alexander-Arnold further forward. Yes, and he took a lot of risk. But Arne Slot is building the Liverpool team pretty much from the back. And he doesn't allow Robertson, who plays on the left, and Alexander-Arnold, who plays on the right, to go too high up the field, because he saw so many things when they were playing for Klopp. And one of the things he saw was that when Liverpool is defending against offensive transitions, there are spaces behind the fullbacks. And it was difficult for Robertson and Trent Arnold to run back and cover the space in behind them. So what did he do? He made them more defensively solid. He didn't allow them to go as high as they were doing against Klopp. And if you look at the Liverpool team, one area where they've really improved is defensively. They are more defensively accurate and astute, unlike when they were playing when they're playing under Klopp, where they had to attack, press and stuff. But right now, they seem to be a lot more defensively astute. They are more positionally aware.
But I know that since that happened, Alexander hasn't been able to express himself the way he usually does. And I think
absolutely. Because like you rightly mentioned at the beginning of this discussion, Alexander-Arnold has a lot of attacking skill set. He's very good on the ball. He can cross the ball very well. Even sometimes when Liverpool has a free kick, he's the one that is tasked with the responsibility of playing the free kick because he has a very good delivery. He has a cultured right foot that can cross the ball very well and pick out the strikers, either the head or the leg. So he's very, very gifted. But then again, he has to balance it with defensive solidity and positioning. And that's one area where I think Arne Slot is working on him. And I actually think there's been a lot of improvement. If you look at the game that was played yesterday against Paris Saint-Germain, there were a lot of 1v1 situations between Paris Saint-Germain wide players and Trent Arnold, and was able to cope very well. One or two times where he was beaten, the keeper, Alisson, was able to bail him out of jail. But I think Slot has really improved his game, and I think he's better playing for Slot than for Klopp. I think his game has actually improved under Slot.
And I know it's not always about ego. I know he's a very creative visionary, but what he needs to do now is that when he's playing a more disciplined role, there will be times in the game in which he does move forward. And those are the times where he can use his brilliance and creativity. Also, we have to remember that if he sits back, he still has an amazing ability to do deep passes from far back. To people, sort of like how Toni Kroos plays.
Yeah. So even if you look at his performance, when England took him to the Euros, they kept contemplating the fact that he could play as a central midfielder because of his skill set. This is someone that was playing as a fullback for Liverpool. If he didn't have that kind of talent, they wouldn't have been contemplating using him for a central midfielder.
Under Klopp used him as an inverted. He inverted him and made him play sort of like a central.
Yes, inverted. Yes,
which I think is very good for him. So he has a lot of options.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, you're in. Oh, Kunle, you made it. Congratulations.
Yeah, there's a very intense game going on right now.
It's only
we just considered the penalty.
Very quickly, so we're gonna end very soon, Kunle. So we're talking about Trent Alexander, and what I'm saying is that he's a liability defensively, but his creativity is so good that we overlook it. And in general, it seems like the right back and the left back position now in modern football is not a defensive position anymore, and it means you have to have intricate tactics and strategies to cover for these guys, because that's the way football is going now. What do you think, Kunle?
Yeah, it's not a defensive position, but you still have to be able to defend properly.
He needs to work harder.
You need to be able to track back, and you need to be. You do a lot more. It's a lot more athletic. So when you say it's not so defensive, it's still defensive, but you're not sitting defensively. You're attacking, but as you lose the ball, you're tracking back to defend. You're tracking back to tackle. You're tracking back to pick up the man. And the thing about Trent is that he doesn't do these things quite so well. And I've seen him get exposed for that this season. And his Slot is going to look for somebody that can actually play down the lines, both offensively and defensively. Trent is lacking defensively, and it shows.
So,
and I have a feeling that
in your opinion, who do you think in your mind could do that type of thing when you've seen footballers who are right backs or left backs that does that very well? I think Gerrard did it well. Gerrard back in the day. Yeah.
Gerrard is a midfielder, is attacking midfielder. He could play as an 8 or a 6.
Cafu or somebody. Yeah. Or it's very hard.
In the old days, we didn't really have that role. We didn't really have a player that did that. Yeah, in the old day, because when you had a back four in the old days, you had a 4-4-2. And your back four tended to, your two defenders are big, tall, and strong. They didn't really need to be pacey. Nowadays, your central defenders need to be pacey. There's more athleticism in the game, and skill is less important. So those fullbacks actually do a lot more than they used to do in the old days. In the old days, you could get away with the fullback that is just purely defensive and maybe supports the right winger. But nowadays
What about Italy? Who was that guy for Italy? Was Maldini? Not Maldini. The other one whose dad was a coach.
The other one that was
his father was a coach for Italy's senior team in 1990 or so. Not Maldini.
Was it
Maldini? Cesare Maldini and Paolo Maldini were father and son.
Maldini was he a fullback? Yeah.
Yeah, he was. He could play a centre back. It was a right back. I think he was a right back.
I think Maldini was the perfect. Yeah, I think Baresi was more of a central defender.
Yeah,
That's
Baresi
those
or
Italian
Franco
defenders. The Italian defenders play both sides of the field well. They can attack, they can track back, and I think that's what these defenders need to model themselves. Also, Kubasi does a good job too. Kubasi has to go far forward, then he has to run back. Sometimes when he runs back, like he had a red card yesterday, but at least he tried. You saw that, Afolabi.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I think Liverpool are going to go into the market and they're going to get some superb person to replace Trent
the only problem is that Trent Alexander is one of the best passers in football, whether any position.
Yeah.
He almost has as many touches as who's the guy that won the Balloon d'Or for City? Rodri.
He has a very cultured right foot. He can cross the ball very well. He plays free kicks. He plays free kicks as well. The only problem is that he's a defensive liability.
Yeah, but in the EPL, only Rodri had more touches.
Duties well.
Yeah, and so in the EPL, only Rodri had more touches than he did last year. So he has a lot of touches. He does a lot of work. So he needs to be on any team. It's just that we need to figure out, he may need to hustle more, or they need to come up with some schemes to figure out how to better use him. And also, it doesn't make sense that he didn't play. Oh, who is it? Kyle Walker also plays defense for England, right? He was starting over.
He's a right back.
He started over Trent Alexander. But Trent Alexander is a better player, but because Kyle Walker plays defense. But the thing is that Kyle Walker can't get assists and can't score goals. So they lost
in the days where teams
but they started Kyle Walker over him because of defense. But go ahead.
In the days where teams play with traditional wingers, Trent Arnold would have been someone close to David Beckham on the right side of attack. No, I wouldn't see him as a defender. He looks more like someone that would get
sort of defender midfielder.
Because he can cross. He crosses the ball so well, and he defends so poorly that I would put him as a 7 in my team. Afolabi.
Even Kane does more defensive work than Trent, and Kane can also cross the ball. Kane can do the same. If you put Kane could play. Would you guys disagree with me? He could play as an overlapping wing back.
No, he'll tire. Kane doesn't have the fitness to run up and down the field.
He has the skill. Kane's passing ability is just as good as those guys, though. Yeah, he's very good.
Yeah, but I think
talking about Kroos, Toni Kroos is also good. Yeah.
But then you lose a lot of the abilities of Harry Kane if you play him as a winger because he holds the ball up so well.
Okay, so this is a quick show because we're watching games. So last thoughts, Kunle, then we'll go to our follow-up. Okay.
Yeah, I think that Terence Trent Arnold.
Wishing well, wish I had defense.
Terence Trent D'Arby.
That's how you know that we're old.
Old man, yeah.
I think that he's falling out of favor with Arne Slot. Arne Slot is a player that doesn't like to take risks. Klopp like to take risks. That's why Klopp like to play with him. Arne Slot would like a more responsible right winger on that side. So I think that the writing's on the wall for him. If he stays, I think Slot is still going to look for somebody more akin to what he likes to play there, even if he stays.
Who is it that was substituting for him? The black guy from Holland or somewhere that was substituting for Trent when he was injured. You know what I'm talking about? I can't remember.
I think I'm talking about Gravenberch. But
Gravenberch, yeah.
No, Gravenberch is a midfielder. He's not really he don't play on the right. He plays the midfield.
I'm trying to remember who they had. Yeah, you guys continue. Yeah.
There's a youth player. I think it was one of these youth players that came on for him. What's his name again? Not
Is it Jones? Is it Jones or Elliott?
It's one of those two. It's one of
Jones
those
or Elliott.
Yeah, Jones or Elliott. I think it's Elliott. Elliott came on for him. Curtis Jones plays a slightly more attacking position. It was Elliott that
scored against. He was scored against Paris Saint-Germain yesterday.
Yeah. Does anybody know that Adeniyi Jones is Curtis Jones' grandfather?
Connor Bradley.
The same Adeniyi Jones